There are three things that are going on now, the three most important things that are going on to great extremes that have not existed since the 1930 to 45 period.
Okay.
And it's important to know those three things and then to understand them well.
Okay.
The first is what is going on with money and credit when you get to something like a zero interest rate and you need buying power. The government needs buying power. They can't tax it. So what we have is the production of a lot of debt that the central bank prints money and buys that debt to spend. And the last time that happened, in the last few years, it happened starting in 2008, interest rates at zero. They couldn't lower their interest rates. So they had to print a lot of debt and the government went in and bought it. Okay. And we're coming to the end of a debt cycle. Okay, so this is a big thing, because where does the money come from and who will get what? The government will now determine that, and then they'll print it and it'll devalue money. Okay, and how money flows, a big deal. So that's number one. The second one are wealth and political gaps that are causing great conflicts. Throughout history, there's always been the main things that everybody's always fought over is money and power, particularly political power. So what we have is a situation when you have a large wealth gap and you have an economic downturn, particularly if you put a lot of debt having at the same time, you have a fight. I mean, that's been true through history. And it's reflected in the political gap. So the political gap is, it's classic political gap. Left, right, okay, capitalist, socialist. How do you distribute it? How are you going to deal with that? That becomes the other, and how you fight. So that's the second of the two, this wealth political gap that's causing the conflict. And it's coming at a time where we don't have much money because we don't have a good financial position. We're printing and putting it out. So but with made up money. I mean, meaning what happened, like COVID was such a good example. A lot of people and companies had falls in their income that would be ruinous. Okay, if checks didn't go out, we would have had a revolution. And so those checks and how do you save everything and so on. Okay, so and it's not like the government had real money, so they made more debt, and then the government and the Federal Reserve printed it, and the checks went out, which diminishes the value of money and so on and changes things. Yeah. So then the third thing is the rise of a great power to challenge an existing great power. So the rise of China to challenge the United States. In all history, there are world orders. What that means are, there are the dominant power. It's like in nature almost, the big bull or something. Anyway, there's the dominant power. And then what happens is in 1945, we entered the American world order. The United States won the war. 1945, the winners of the war carved up the world. We had 80% of what was considered money at the time, gold. 80% of the world's money, essentially. We counted for half the world's economy, and the rules were set in the United States, basically. That's why the United Nations is in New York, the World Bank and the IMF are in Washington, D.C., because we began the American century. And then we are now at a time, we've never had another power challenge us in the same way. There was the Soviet Union, but they were always a fraction of the size economically, so couldn't compete on that same basis. They had nuclear weapons, but they didn't have the economic power and so on. But now we're dealing with China coming on as a power. I spend a lot of time in China over the last 36 years, by the way, and I admire how they're doing a lot of things. Right. I mean, I know it's controversial to say that, but in terms of they're a power.
Yeah.
Whoa! Since I started going there, their average income has increased by 30 times. So they're a comparable power, and they're also growing faster. And so that has an effect. So those three things are things that never happened in my lifetime before, but happened before in history, which led me to do the studies of what happened in history and the lessons I could gain. It affects everybody, it affects, like, we know, let's start with ourselves. Most importantly, forget about the outside thing. Can we be healthy and strong? And what do we need to do? Like, to know that you have to be in it together. Like, if we can row in the same direction, okay? If we can have thoughtful disagreement and get past that, if we can be in it together, like the wealthy and the poor, and if you figure it out, and I know it sounds so difficult, but at the same time, if you read history and you see what happens when it's not, when you have a civil war, like we could be on the brink of a civil war. That sounds so crazy, but the truth is, in most countries, in almost every century, there was a civil war or a revolution, some form of civil war or revolution. So it's almost inevitable that we're going to have something. Okay, you either resolve it or you start fighting so badly. Once you cross a certain line, there's no coming back. Okay, because you do the damage, you demonize, and that person's such an enemy, or that class of people is such an enemy that the communication's gone and the fight. Well, you see this in politics today. In other words, is there a respect for the system and a mutual respect of trying to resolve these types of things, or will they go to any lengths to win? Because a constitution or law will only carry you to so far, okay? There has to be an element of respect for it, right? I want to distinguish, there's big differences in opportunities. So let's say, supposing you have two people of comparable opportunities, and then they were going to do that. Okay, the marshmallow test is you take a kid and you say, okay, you can have one marshmallow now, or you could have two marshmallows in 15 minutes or something.
If you don't eat the first one, yeah.
If you don't eat the first one, right?
Yep.
Okay, once you start to realize that deferred gratification is going to make you better and so on, and you start to count and you say like something like, how many days, weeks, months, or years can I live if I don't have money come in? And you start to focus in on that. That's the first step. Okay, like the marshmallow test. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I want to save. You got to start there. Then, if you do that, you're necessarily going to go save in what? And then you'll start to get exposure to how these things are different. Okay, then you start to care. You have one of these and one of those, and you start to experience, and then you start to learn, and basically that's what makes the difference. Well, and what it does then, when it comes to the money, now at that moment that you don't want it, you have savings. That means I want savings. Okay, now you got savings. So the next thing inevitably that's going to come at you is, where do I put it? And then you get your choices, and then you experience it and you learn. Well, I think first you start with, what are the most important things that you're closest to? Like, is it your business? First, calculate how many days, weeks, months, or years you can live on your saving. Because when you do that, you'll gain security, you'll gain that, okay? So look at how much you're spending, okay? And then say, how much do I need? And whatever that number is, you're going to need more than that, because it may go down rather than go up. So, okay, now do I have a year's spending? Okay. So I think you start there. Then you start to think, what are the things that are most important for me? And then you start with your business or your residence that have a symbiotic relationship and that you know well. let's say if you start with your business, okay, you're closer to that, investing in yourself with whatever that may end up being, that may be your best investment.
Not okay. Real estate, not stocks, not the market.
Well, it depends. If you're not, if you're doing something where you can do it yourself, and that's the thing. But if you're in a job and that's not the thing, right? Because you're in a different position. Okay. But anyway, and then I really think there's something good about your home. A basic thing about your home, because it's nice forced savings, and it also means that you fix it up. You're saving. You find out there's, oh well, if I add this thing or that thing, and you're enjoying it. So when you're enjoying it and you're controlling it and it's yours and so on, that's pretty good. And if they keep mortgage tax deductions and so on, there might be some benefits to it also, okay? But that's not a black and white answer. So you could take a short pencil and say, is it better to rent or buy? Okay, that's a different question. Maybe yes, but by and large, am I gonna move? All of those other questions. But so when you start with, okay, what is it that's close to home and how much? You need a certain amount that's liquid. In other words, you got it in your house, you got to make a mortgage payment or something, and all of a sudden you're, it's not liquid and you lose your job. Well, that can cause you trouble. So how much do I have that's liquid? How much do I have that's not liquid? Okay, and you start to get those things right. Okay, I've got enough liquid. I got enough, okay, not liquid in those other things. Okay, pretty soon you're getting yourself in good shape. Yeah. You do those things, you're pretty much in good shape. And then you're also having some experiences, and then you go beyond that, Mm-hmm. And then so you start to, okay, what's a stock? What's a bond? And then, you learn through experiences. I learned through my experiences. I started when I was a kid, 12. I used to caddy, and I took my caddying money and I put it in the stock market. And I was lucky. What happened to me, by the way, is I took my caddying money and I bought the only company that I ever heard of that was selling for less than $5 a share. And I thought that I was really dumb. I thought I'll buy more shares, so if it goes up, I'll make more money. And it was the only company. It was a company that was about to go broke, but some other company acquired it, and it tripled. And I thought, this is an easy game.